Okay, we may start our program now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Dr. Syukran Abdul Rahman, Dean Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. Yang berbahagia, our speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Adlina Haji Arifin, Deputy Director, Grant Management Unit, RMC, Deputy Deans, Deputy Director, Heads of Departments, Heads of Research, Professors, Associate Professors, Doctors, Academic Members, Administrative Staff, and last but not least, our young graduates and students. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, we are able to convene this morning to participate in Hadissus Sobah program organized by Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. My name is Muhammad Hazwanuddin. I am an Executive Officer at the Office of the Dean Ahas KRS, and it is an honor to be the MC for this session. On behalf of the Kuliah, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of you. All right, before we go further, let us begin our program today with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatiha. Amin, amin, ya rabbal alamin. Before we start our event for today, the ceremony invites Professor Dr. Syukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of Ahas KIRKSS, to deliver his welcoming speech. Please welcome, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Amma ba'd. Thank you, Brother Hazwan, our respected resource person for today's Hadissus Sobah, Associate Professor Dr. Adlina Arifin from Research Management Center and Department of English Language and Literature. Thank you very much for your readiness, willingness, commitment to share your knowledge and experience with us this morning. All professors, academic members, young scholars and students, maybe alumni as well. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our second Hadissus Sobah for the year 2022. In the last Hadissus Sobah, we have heard, we have listened, we have been enlightened on the role of academics. Right, so today we want to continue talking about this agenda, especially when this year we have declared this year the Kuliah of Ahas KRKS want to focus on one imperative statement called advancing holistic academia and society. Right, so we want to focus on the academia here, and then this year also we talk about empowering the whole of academia. When we talk about the whole of academia, we are referring to academics, we are referring to students as well, undergraduate and postgraduate. We want this group of academia to really realize of their function, our functions being university community. So Dr. Adlina this morning will be talking about creating enthusiasm among the university community. I hope, right? So people, among academic students who listen to this Hadissus Sobah will be enthused by what she has to offer us, right? So this is very important because being knowledge worker, okay, we have to always feel motivated, feel passionate, okay, in addition to the feeling of obligation to do research. So we do research in university not because of our promotion, not because we want to attain degree, but we want to generate knowledge and disseminate it so that the knowledge that we disseminate can be of use, can be beneficial to the society. So this is what we call GIR, genuinely impactful research. We do not want to do research because we have to do research. We want to do research because we know that we are here, okay, paid, mandated, and trusted to deal with knowledge, generating knowledge, disseminating knowledge, so that society can be informed of what they have to do, and with what they do, they can enhance their quality of life here and also in the hereafter. So thank you very much, Dr. Adlina. I know that you have this capability to enthuse us. I have been observing the way you enthuse students. Oh, by the way, we were part-time teachers in the same school last time, and I've seen how Dr. Adlina enthused her young students then. Thank you very much, Dr. Adlina. And over back to you, Brother Zuan. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you, Prof. Shukran, for his meaningful speech. Without wasting time, let me briefly introduce our speaker today. Her full name is Associate Professor Dr. Adlina binti Haji Arifin. Is an Associate Professor from the Department of English Language and Literature, and she received her Bachelor of Education at University Malaya. She then pursued to her postgraduate studies at University Malaya, obtaining her master degree in education, and then her doctorate at IUM. For the time being, she holds the position of Deputy Director of Grant Management Unit at Research Management Center. Okay, before I hand over the session to Dr. Adlina, let me inform that she will be delivering her talk for 30 minutes, and we will open the session for Q&A for 15 minutes. You are welcome to share your questions in the chat box later. So, I will welcome Dr. Adlina to deliver her presentation entitled Enthusing University Community to Conduct Genuinely Impactful Research. Please welcome, Dr.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and a very good morning to Prof. Shukran Abdul Rahman, the Dean of AHAS KIRKHS, and of course my esteemed colleagues at the Kuliah. Thank you very much for joining me today. I have to admit that I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous because I think this is the first time I am really addressing my esteemed colleagues and scholars at the Kuliah, and with whom I have a lot of respect for. And also I would like to thank the Kuliah for inviting me to give this talk. I have to admit to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, this is not an easy job to do, especially at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, because of the title, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope all of you can see my screen. Okay, so the title that was given to me is Enthusing the University Community to Conduct Genuinely Impactful Research. The word is genuinely impactful research. And my task today, as pointed out by Prof. Shukran just now, is to enthuse all of you. Okay, is to inspire and motivate all of you to get involved in coming up with genuinely impactful research. I have to admit that based on my observation of our Kuliah, there are a number of our colleagues who are already in the, in doing research. They are very robust in their research. Okay. However, I want to take this opportunity today to share with you my observation, my thoughts, after listening to other talks and also looking at the way forward in terms of research achievement in the country. And I want to share with you my thoughts. And I would also like to put a caveat here that what I will share with you today may not necessarily represent the views of RMC. Even though I am with RMC, it may not represent. Okay, this is purely my observation and my analysis of things. Okay, so to begin the talk today, what I want to present to you would be what my approach to the talk is. It will be from the global perspective to the local perspective, and then to us in the university. That's how I'm going to approach the topic today. Okay, 1 minute. No, I'm very sorry. Why isn't my slide working? Okay, 1 minute, yeah. I am very sorry, but my slide doesn't seem to work. I don't know why. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so this is the presentation outline. There will only be 3 things that I'm going to cover. The first one is on the current and future research trends, and then coming back to us, our role as the Khalifah on the planet, and also some of the challenges that I noticed, which I would like to share with everyone. So I'm going to begin my talk today by sharing with you this particular proverb. It is actually a Native American proverb. Maybe some of you may have heard of this proverb before, which says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." We borrow it from our children. So when you talk about the concept of borrowing, it means that one day you need to return what you have borrowed. So in this context, when we talk about borrowing the earth from our children or grandchildren, it means that eventually at the end of the day, we need to return this earth to the future generation. Which means that what kind of earth are we going to give to them? What kind of world life that we're going to give them at the end of the day? So it all depends on us now. It all depends on us now. The well-being of the planet, the well-being of Earth, of the surrounding, of the environment depends on us today. What are we going to do? Okay, because at the end of the day, we have to remember that we are going to pass on this planet to our future generations. So I'm going to start with that. What should we do? Because at the end of the day, we're going to give back this earth to our children or the future generations. Now, brothers and sisters, unfortunately, if you look around you today, if you open your WhatsApp, if you read the online papers, etc., we can say that the earth is very sick. The earth is facing a lot of diseases, not just COVID-19. Let me put it to you. Not just COVID-19. We're facing a lot of problems. Okay. We have problems regarding COVID-19, of course, and then the vaccine. All right. And then you talk about Malaysia, we have corruption, okay, which has, infiltrated every layer of the society. We shouldn't just focus on politicians here, but every layer of the society is infected by this disease called corruption. We have mental health issues, okay, that we need to deal with. And this mental health issues is not just among our youth, among our students, but also adults, women, men. Okay, these are the problems facing that we are facing at the moment. And we talked about our economy. A lot of investors are running away from our country. We are facing economic crisis. And because of that, it leads to unemployment. Okay, these are just among the things, and the list is just, it's endless. We have environmental degradation, shortage of food, biodiversity loss, climate change. Okay, there's just so many issues that we have to tackle, and so many issues that we have to deal with before we can actually return this earth in a better condition for the future generations. So having seen and having realized that, mashallah, we have a lot of issues to deal with, what are we going to do with it? Now, this is my take on all this. Of course, every day when we look at the papers, when we read papers, when we go through, the news or whatever information that we get, we lament, we make comments. Okay, we will always think that, oh no, this shouldn't have happened, etc., etc. But to me, the way I look at it is, these issues and challenges actually present variety of research problems that require not only our attention, but more importantly, our action. What is our action? Are we just going to sit down and do nothing about it? Or are we going to say, I'm going to do something about this, because I just cannot stand this anymore? All right. So the way I look at it is that problems in the society actually, in actual fact, provide ample opportunities for genuinely impactful research. Opportunities are there. It's just, whether you want to take it or not. So by doing so, all right, by taking action, we are not going to be part of the problem, but inshallah, we will be part of the solution. So next, I want to share with you the current and future trends of research. Where are we moving towards? Okay, so on this, there will be 5 concepts that I want to explain a bit. The first one is on community engagement. I think this is like, the buzzword in the university now, community engagement. Well and good, because this is going to be the future trend of the research. Integration of knowledge and collaboration, sustainability, and responsible research. So when we talk about community engagement, right, there needs to be, I would say, a kind of a paradigm shift, okay, in terms of the nature of research that we do. Previously, maybe it was more of, I would say, domain-based research, okay, so rigid in terms of the domain, meaning to say, is this psychology research, okay, or is this research related to communication? Is this research related to etc., etc., etc.? Okay, is this language? Is it communication? Is it Islamic studies? Very domain kind of restrictive kind of research. But now we need to shift from that. Okay, we are going to focus on community-based research. So what is this? What's the meaning of community-based research, and how do we actually approach this thing? The way I look at it is, if you want to go for community-based research, the initial idea of the research itself must be conceptualized based on engagement with the community. So engagement of the community should happen at the very beginning, from the very beginning of the research itself, at the initial stage of the research itself. You have to start communicating, you need to start having conversations with the community so that you understand their genuine problems. When you engage with them, when you go into the community, you understand the actual problems, their genuine problems. And I believe that once you actually understood what the problem is all about, then only you can think of coming up with a beneficial research which will be impactful for that particular community that you are catering for. So that is in my understanding of community engagement. It doesn't happen just at the end of your research, but it should, the conversation, the engagement should happen from the very beginning, and if possible, even in the process of the research and till the end. Now, integration of knowledge and collaboration. This is also a very, very important aspect of the future research. When we are talking about community-based research versus domain-based research, okay, it means that in order to deal with the issue or the problems, it may require input from various expertise. You need experts in various fields to come on board and settle and help to resolve the problems of the community. Because I mean, I'm sure all of us are aware that when we talk about community problems, it's not straightforward. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's very complicated and very complex in nature. So you need to bring in experts from various fields to solve community-based problems. And in doing so, there will be integration of knowledge, definitely. There will be integration of knowledge. And there will be a need for us to collaborate among us. We need to break the silos. No more are we going to work alone. No more, for example, researchers from law will just be doing on law. Law is regarding governance, but what about other aspects of that problem with the community? That needs to be taken care of as well. So we need to talk to our colleagues from other departments. Okay, Alhamdulillah, I'm aware that AHAS KRKHS has many departments. Alhamdulillah. To be honest, that is our good point. That is a plus point for us. Okay, because we have IRK and we have HS. Now what we need to do is engage with one another from different departments. We need to talk to one another, come up with something. We need to break the silos. Okay, so that is within the kuliah. But and also the same thing goes when, you know, we need to talk with different kuliahs as well. We need to talk with our colleagues from law, from KNMS, from ICT, and bring them to solve this community-based problem. And also this idea of quadruple helix. When we talk about collaboration, there's also this idea of quadruple helix. So let me share with you what is the meaning of quadruple helix. Okay, basically quadruple helix, okay, there are 8 components that are involved. Okay, so we have connectors, okay, who bring stakeholders together and facilitate effective networking. We have the producers and manufacturers. Okay, so this will be the industry. We have technology providers, okay, to harness technology. If, let's say, for example, in your research, you want to do something that is technologically inclined, so you have to bring in people from that field into your research. Financing providers, of course, will be the funders. Standard setters and regulators, the governance part. Supply chain and logistics providers also will be the industry, as well as market access providers, and eventually capacity builders. So basically, in general, these are the kind of collaboration that you can have, okay, that you may need to have in the future in order to ensure that your research is going to be impactful. Next is the idea of sustainability. I think this is another buzzword in 2020, 2021, or even 2019. Sustainability, what it means is very simple. It means meeting our needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In other words, we shouldn't be greedy. We shouldn't be greedy. We shouldn't be taking everything during our time and forget about the future generation. Okay, we need to make sure that it is sustainable. Whatever that we do now, the future generation will also have it, they have access to it, and maybe even better access to it. So it refers generally to capacity for Earth's biosphere and human civilization to coexist. Biosphere and human civilization. So for this to thrive, okay, there are three elements, interconnected elements that are very important in sustainability, which are environment, economy, and society. Okay, and I'm very sure that all of us have seen this diagram before, the 17 SDGs, okay, Sustainable Development Goals. And I believe we are planning to have the 18th SDG, if I'm not mistaken, on religion or theology or something like that. But anyway, this is what we have now, the SDGs. Okay, so meaning to say that we have to ensure that our needs in terms of the 17 goals will be sustainable, not only for us, but also for the future generation. Next, last one is responsible research. What is the meaning of responsible research? Okay. When we talk about responsible research, okay, this one here is in terms of the conduct of the research itself. And this is close to my heart because I'm in a grant management unit. So being responsible, being ethical is very, very important, brothers and sisters. When we do research, it's not just, it's not just to get the result, but also the process itself needs to be responsibly conducted. All right. So we need to understand, how to conduct the research in accordance to contemporary good practice, okay, recognizing what it means in the context of research being undertaken, implementing and developing good practice. So all this will require knowledge on ethics, integrity, good practice, inspirational supervision or support to facilitate the action of doing that research in the first place. So that is responsible research. And another idea of responsible research is this concept of, I think all of us are also aware of this, responsible research and innovation. Okay, which is actually, it is a dynamic iterative process whereby all stakeholders are mutually responsive to each other and they share responsibility regarding the research outcomes. Okay, so all stakeholders, meaning researchers, policymakers, industry, citizens, educators, they are all mutually responsive to each other and share that responsibility. They are accountable for that research. So this is the idea of responsible research. Okay, and for this RRI, okay, we have diversity and inclusion. Okay, diversity, yes, we are diverse. Okay, if we come from various races and all that, but we have to ensure that all races, everybody on this planet is inclusive. No one is being segregated, okay, or being being put aside. Okay, openness and transparency, there needs to be that. Okay, anticipation and reflexivity, responsiveness and adaptive. Yeah, so these are the four main things of RRI. Okay. Now, coming back to Malaysia and looking at where is the research agenda moving towards. Okay, let us look at the overall. This is according to the timeline. Okay, now in 1957 to 1980, okay, the kind of economy that we have is very much agricultural based economy, where the main factors then were land and labor. And then from 1981 to 2000, okay, we focused on manufacturing. Okay, and the factors were infrastructure, collateralized risk-free capital, labor, institutional support. And then from then we move on to innovation-led economy, innovation. Okay, and the critical factor then was harnessing emerging technologies. So technology was the thing then. Okay, talent, knowledge workers, value creation from R&D and market forces. So innovation, okay, a lot of innovation. Okay, that was the focus then up till 2020. Now let's look at what's going to happen 2020 onwards. Humanization economy age, which means that, what does it mean? Wise use of innovation. I want my brothers and sisters to look at the factors here. Very important for us in humanities, yeah, brothers and sisters. Wise use of innovations. Wise use of innovation. Knowledge to be shared and built collaboratively. Approaching innovation through the lens of morality. Now, one would wonder, why is it suddenly from here, innovation-led economy, which is based on material things, okay, technology, handphone, etc., suddenly from 2020 onwards, which is not really that far, it was like 2 years ago, suddenly they realized that, okay, there needs to be wise use of innovations, okay, and we need to approach innovation from the lens of morality, from the lens of religion. Why, brothers and sisters? The issue is very simple, because the innovation, man-made creations, lack ethics, because these innovations will be used by human beings, and being human beings, okay, you know, they like to transgress things, they like to misuse things, they like to abuse things. So that is why now innovation needs to come with morality, ethics, integrity. And this is where, brothers and sisters, for most of us in the kuliah, this is where we need to play our role. Okay, then what should we do? What should we do? What would be, you know, our take on all these things, you know, knowing that the earth is sick, knowing that we have tons of problems to solve before we can actually return this planet Earth to our future generations? What should we do? Are we just going to sit with our arms folded and say that it's not my problem? Or are we going to say, let's pull our strengths together to make a difference? So that's a choice. That's a choice. So I want to come back to our responsibility as Khalifa, as the Khalifa. We are the chosen ones, whether we like it or not. We are the chosen ones, okay? And this is clearly stated in Surah Az-Zariyat, verse 56, where Allah says, I created the jinn and humans for nothing else but that they may serve me. So we are all servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in my opinion, being servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, of course, we perform all the obligations that has been put onto us. Okay, we pray, we fast, etc., etc. But more than that, what else? What are we here for on this earth? Yes, we pray to Him, we cherish Him, we love God, we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And are there other ways for us to show our love to Him? In my opinion, other things that we can do is actually, you know, serving and worshiping Allah can be accomplished through every deed of man that is aimed at building a civilization, establishing the authority of Allah on earth. I think that is part of our service to Him. That is part of our responsibility as His servants. And then, of course, we need to live by His commandments. And also, we need to strive to establish the rule of Allah on earth and follow the way of life that He has prescribed. So Islam will govern the life of individual, the family, the community, and the nation. This is for our well-being. This is for the society's well-being. We know that Islam is a beautiful religion. If we don't do anything about it, if we do not go out and reach out to the community, no one would know that Islam is such a beautiful religion. Islam is filled with compassion, with love, with care, with peace. People will always look at Islam as they are the what is it, the suicide bombers, all the negative things that have been portrayed by the West on us. So we need to take charge. We need to build the civilization according to the authority of Allah on this planet. And of course, in the Quran, the Quran is a very wonderful book which kept on asking us to read and think and reflect. Okay, and of course, all of us are aware of Surah Al-Alaq. And also, I want to quote Hashim Kamali, 2017, where he said that about 750 verses of the Quran exhort its readers to study nature, our history, and the Quran itself, and humanity. And brothers and sisters, when we say study, it's not just read the books. It's not just that, because seeking knowledge, understanding things is also obtained through research, by going into the society, by understanding the problems of the society and trying to find solutions. That is also part of studying. So now the traditional research approach, having shown you, the future trends and all that, I just want to show you how different it is in terms of the way we approach research from the previous approach to the current approach. So traditionally, a researcher, who is an expert in one field, or maybe a group of researchers who are experts in one field, may be focusing on domain-based research, very restrictive in nature, domain-based research rather than community-based research, because you see, as I mentioned earlier, to solve the problem of the community is not a straightforward thing. It's not a straightforward thing. It will require a lot more participation from various experts in the field. Because normally community-based problems or community problems, they are very complex in nature, and it's not as straightforward as we would want it to be. So in terms of the composition, this is how I perceive it, yeah. So there will be expert 1, there will be expert 2, 3, 4, 5. It depends on the group, and all of them are working towards solving this community-based, this community problem, and they are going to conduct this community-based research. So who are these people? What I can see is it could be that expert 1 is in law, expert 2 is in fiqh, expert 3 in halal, for example, and expert 4 in artificial intelligence. So you have all the components of innovation. You have the component of technology there. You have the component of the governance, the integrity, the ethics there. So everything is there. But what we need, brothers and sisters, now is actually this. We need to break the silos. We need to start changing our narrative. We need to start talking to one another from various departments, from various kulias. We need to start engaging among us as well. Not just with the community, but among us as well. So university community, this is how I look at it. This is us, IUM community. All the while we have been, we are very happy with what we have been, with what we are doing. We are doing research within the boundaries of our own compound, our own community. All right. And of course, out there is the community. Out there is the community. So the issue is, are we talking to them? Are we talking to them? Are we going out and approaching them? That is the thing. So my humble opinion is that we need to start breaking the barriers. We need to start breaking that barrier between intellects, between scholars and the community. Like what Prof. Shukran mentioned just now, that our main stand for this year is actually to enhance the academia and society. So we need to break that barrier. because we have yet, I believe, we have yet to really dwell into the community. Because only by breaking the barrier can we lead the way in producing impactful research. That's what I feel. Okay, and what is the meaning of impactful research? This is how I look at it in terms of the definition. To what extent does the research address the issue under investigation, and to what extent does the target community benefit from the research? I think this is very, very important. Okay, so in terms of impactful outcome, impactful product. Okay, so to me, impactful equals to outcome. Impactful is not equal to product. It's no more product, but in terms of outcome. Okay, this is how we should change our mind. It's no more producing things, but in terms of outcome, in terms of how that the solution that we are suggesting will help the target community. That's what it is in terms of outcome. Yeah. And of course, we are not without challenges. I'm well aware of this. We are not without challenges. Okay. I think last week when Dr. Sharifah Fatima shared with us her ideas on the roles of academics. Okay. Yeah, I think one of the main issues that was raised is heavy workload. And I cannot agree more on this note, because some time ago, my team and I, we did a simple survey among our researchers, and we asked them in terms of what are the challenges for them in doing research, in doing impactful research. So these are the three main challenges that were mentioned. The first one is heavy workload. The second one is demotivated, and the third one is tedious process. So in terms of heavy workload, okay, let's look at what are the things that we have been doing. What have we been doing in the university? Okay, these are some of the common aspects of us, okay, of our existence in the university and responsibilities. Okay, we're involved in teaching, we're involved in research, in consultancy, innovation, publication, supervision, community engagement, and administration. Okay, so these are the components, and we have to do all this. We have to do all this. Allahu Akbar. I think you need to be a superhuman to be able to do all that in your life. The workload is heavy. Definitely, the workload is heavy. So this, brothers and sisters, heavy workload is our biggest challenge actually at the university. There are just so many things to do. Number two is demotivated. I do understand this, because some of the researchers, they mentioned that they got demotivated because their applications kept on being turned down, okay, unsuccessful. And the last one is tedious process. Yes, submitting proposals, preparing proposals for competitions and things like that, they're not easy. And even managing a grant, it's not easy. It's very tedious, all right, to ensure that it can be closed successfully. Very tedious. So my suggestion for number one, I'm not going to, for number two and number three, I think, that one will need a lot of training, number two and number three. But number one, I think what I would like to suggest, humbly and honestly suggest to the university, is that it should be bold enough to adopt this WISE concept. What is the meaning of WISE? In my opinion, the university needs to be bold enough, to be willing enough, to have the willpower to make changes for the well-being of the staff, of the academics in the university, based on the tenet of God consciousness. okay, to ensure that all of us are sejahtera. We are all insan sejahtera. And based on the element of empathy, there needs to be a lot of empathy from the university. Because here we are telling that we have a lot of things to do, not that we don't want to do research. We want to do research, but there are just so many things on our plate at the moment. We cannot be expected to do all that in one go. And I think this wise concept needs to be adopted to allow academics to thrive based on their strengths. We need to work based on our strengths. If you are good in research, go and do your research, go and do your teaching, go and publish. We accomplish things based on our strengths, and not all of us are good in everything. You know, we cannot be jack of all trades, masters of none. And finally, my last word is, you may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. So brothers and sisters, research is one of our obligation. I think I want to say that, you know, research is actually a very interesting thing, but it's just that we need more support to do that, to make sure that our research is impactful enough. Thank you. With that, thank you so much. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will now welcome questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Azlina, for the explanation and sharing. Now we have reached to the Q&A session. So you can ask in the chat box, and I will try to read and pass them to our speaker.
Okay. I hope they are not tough questions. Okay, let me.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Adlina.
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Congrats.
Please, Prof, don't.
I love the last few points you made. I think this is something that people fail to see. I mean, if you are not in that research culture mode, you won't be able to understand what you're saying. A lot of people fail to see that because they are not in research. Because as you said, they don't have the time. Now, my question is, if we change the goal of RMC, if we stress on every research must have a product, must help create job. I don't think we stress on this enough. The government is also not stressing this enough. They talk about it, but it doesn't trickle down to university. 2020 failed because it didn't trickle down to university. It just loomed up there, yeah, in ministries, but it didn't trickle down to universities. So if everybody who goes into doing research have this mindset, you have to create a product. That product must create job, innovation, commercialization. So I think, it will be more purposeful, because at the moment, I think the country has got this import mentality. Everything we want to import, because we are not creating, we're not innovating products. So I don't know where the sense of direction RMC is, our research is. Maybe, you've been there for a long time. You may want to comment on this. Thank you.
Okay, Prof. Thank you so much for that question. In terms of innovation, I do believe that from what I observe and from the record that I see at the RMC, there are quite a number of our researchers, whose research actually have the potential to be further improved. Okay, that means you can sort of, it needs to go through some kind of another stage where later on, inshallah, it can be an innovation and it can be commercialized, inshallah. Yeah. So that, but not everybody is into that. Not everybody is into this, innovation kind of thing. All right. So that is another thing as well that we need to think, when we do a particular research. Okay. how is this innovation going to help the community, or going to create more jobs, or going to reduce mental health issues, for example? What are the what would be the outcome of that? How is it going to benefit that society? I think that should be the thing that we keep in mind. Okay. And yes, I think when we talk about creating jobs, Prof, we can do our part, but I think the government also needs to play their role and not just sleep. Thank you.
Perhaps we can have one more question before we end the session. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Welcome salam, Prof.
Tikadil, how are you?
Fine,
Thank you very
alhamdulillah.
much. MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. I was asking about your own experience being with the RMC and before in the postgraduate center. How do you see the level of our students? I mean, are we as lecturers in inheriting the culture of research to our students? I mean, are we able to encourage our students to be future scholars? Because to be a role model is not that easy. Because they say the society does not care, or the people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So do we care about our students? Do we care about them, their financial situations? Are we encouraging them to be real lecturers or scholars in the future, or just finishing your degree and that's it? The second issue is talking about impactful research. It is so hard sometimes to determine how do you measure it? Is it impactful or not? It might be impactful to you and not to me in this country or not in that country. So the criterion or the criteria to determine or to define or to decide which one is impactful, sometimes I find it so hard. So what is your comment? Shukran. Salam alaikum.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Abdul Hamid. Two very crucial questions, which I will attempt to answer. All right, the first one is, I think you asked us now in terms of the quality of students that we produce. Okay, are they here just to graduate and that's it, bye-bye? Or are we instilling, good qualities in them? I think that is part of our role here at the university. When we supervise students, okay, when we teach students, even in our classes, I want to link this to the role of teacher researcher. In my humble opinion, if you want to be a good teacher, you also need to be a good researcher. Okay, because it's like this. This is how. I'm sorry if you disagree, but this is how I look at it. Because if you want to be a good teacher in your field of study, meaning to say you want to get in-depth knowledge of the area that you are dealing with, it's not just merely by reading books. You need to go out, you need to meet people, you need to talk to people, you need to understand their problems, you need to do something about it, and then you bring in that experience, whatever that you have done in class, in your classroom. Then only your student will see that, okay, that is when you set to be the role model. That your student will say, I'm going to be like my teacher. Because she or he doesn't only speak in class, lecture, blah, 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 for 2 to 3 hours every day, no. But she also goes out, she also gets involved. You see, that is why I think it's very important for us, if we are involved in research, we also need to share those experiences, whether it's good or bad. I mean, be honest with them and tell them, these are the things I'm doing, and these are some of the difficulties I'm facing. Because you see, when we do all that, when we speak to them, when we share with them all these things, you may never know. It may somehow trigger their, their interest to, oh yeah, I'm interested. I like what the person is doing, So maybe, you just never know. Maybe the person from graduate level, undergrad will become your master student, PhD student. But you need to show that you're not just talking, but you are taking actions on things. And I think the student will really look up on you and will really, I don't know, emulate you, and would be inspired, would be enthused, okay, to follow your footsteps, inshallah. Okay. So the second one is regarding impactful. I do agree with you, Prof. Abdul Hamid, that when we talk about impactful, you are saying that from one society to another society, they may differ, this meaning of impactful. Very true. I agree with you on that, because it is very much, impactful in general is a very generic term where you can only see the spirit of it, okay, depending on the culture. It is culturally defined what is impactful. But in general terms, okay, when you see that, for example, in terms of unemployment, okay, and you did something, okay, you come up with a startup, for example, like Grab was a startup, okay. So let's say Grab, okay, generate employment and all that. That is impactful, because you can see in terms of percentage that from it has somehow helped in terms of employment rate in the country. Okay, so general that, but of course, again, it can be defined differently according to different cultures and different societies in the world. I do agree with you on that, Prophet Hamid. Okay, that's it. That's my answer.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. We have come to the end of the program. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank Yang Berbahagia Dr. Adlina for inspiring us, motivate us, young researchers and students on the role and responsibilities in impactful research. We hope that everyone will embrace and uphold your word of wisdom in their journey to be successful academics and researchers in the future. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I would like to take this opportunity to apologize for my shortcomings in hosting this session. I wish the organizers, the participants, all the best, and may Allah bless our effort in this journey of knowledge. Before we end, let us turn on our camera so we can take pictures together to treasure this moment in our memory. May I invite Brother Ismail to take our photo?
Okay. One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay, last one. One, two, three. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Brother Ismail. So thank you very much, and let's end with Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-As. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Adlina, and
Okay.
congratulations, brother.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone is inspired now.
Yes, Dr. Adlina, I wanted to say something, but never mind. I will approach you personally.
Okay.
All
Right.
right.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adlina. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask you a question, but inshallah after this I will ask you.
Okay. Sure. You can. Please do that. No problem.
Assalamualaikum.
Inshallah.
All right, okay.
Thank you. شكرا. السلام عليكم. جمعة مباركة.
السلام ورحمة الله.